Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is Moltrap. I'm here again with Cholera and Rise, and we're going to be doing some more games from the MSL, the ClubDay MSL round of 16. This is Group A fOrGG versus Stork, and I'm pretty excited about this. Actually, this should be kind of interesting. fOrGG, coming off of an MSL win, the defending champion. Um, Not looking quite as good since his championship, though. He tore everyone to shreds that everyone thought would, tear him a new one in the last MSL, and so it was kind of a surprise. But he doesn't look as good since then. Stork, on the other hand, has been, who is the red Protoss, by the way, at the top of the map, has been on fire lately. He's been doing extremely well at the top of his game. So, frankly, just by recent play, I'd have to give the game to Stork, although if you go by, Star League titles, fOrGG's the only one between them with an actual gold, so, I'll leave it at that, I guess.
That leads to questions. I mean, how many silvers equals a gold? Because Stork's got 4 of them. But yeah, in major tournaments, I think he's got at least 4 silver, if I'm not, if not 5, I think. But anyway,
he's got
Stork,
5 and a bronze.
Yeah. And Stork, meanwhile, though, is going to be facing a cheese from fOrGG. fOrGG looks like... No, it wasn't a cheese. He looks like he was just scouting around with his SCV, making sure there wasn't cheese inside of his base. And now he's, he's actually moving his SCV forward. I think it's actually, it is going to be cheese. Because he's not putting down that supply depot. He's going to be putting down a forward barracks, I believe,
he's looking around
with
for
that
cheese.
SCV. You think so? All right, well... That's certainly a lot of paranoia there from fOrGG, but maybe he has a reason to, because Stork could be... Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right. So it was just an incredibly early SCV scout. The reason why he might have been doing it is because this map is very Terran favored, as we say in the Firebright Hero commentary for the MSL. But yeah, it's a very Terran favored map, so maybe he was worried about Stork trying to pull in some kind of all-in cheese. And Stork has been known to do cheese in the past, even though he certainly can play a very strong standard game. Now Stork looks like he's going to trick a probe through, interesting enough, into the back of the base, maybe going for a fast expand there, or maybe just, yeah, just wondering, why do you think he would do that, Rise? Sneak a probe back there into the back expansion.
I'm guessing he's doing it to hide tech, because if you think about it, if he gets scouted, that's probably one of the best places to hide it. So now you see the cybernetic score going down, which is standard for Protoss, but if he's trying to hide something, the easiest way to do that without fOrGG being able to find it for quite some time is to put it way back there. So that scouting SCV that fOrGG is sending out is going to probably head right into the base and not notice anything amiss, or maybe he'll just think that Stork's a little slow in his play, but he probably won't find too much out about it, which is definitely going to play into Stork's advantage. And that's one of the things that this map is great for, and I don't think enough players actually use it for that. fOrGG, on the other hand, I think he's just doing a standard build, and there we see the Citadel. So yeah, he is hiding tech. Obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but I'm guessing he's going DT rush or something like that. Otherwise, he probably wouldn't hide a Citadel. So, I mean, we could see some quick DTs here, and if fOrGG goes some sort of 2-fact build, he may be okay if he goes Vultures, but it's going to be tough. I mean, this map definitely is favored towards Terran, we know that, but if anyone can break that, I think Stork's the guy. I just checked before, he's 16 wins out of his last 20 games. That's absurd.
Wow.
That's ridiculous. And it looks like Stork finally going in and scouting on his own to find out what's going on. And Stork, I think he's in a good position, actually. And there's the Templar Archives. Stork's in a great position, I think, to do some damage to fOrGG.
Yeah, Stork, and it goes back even a little farther. He's been batting about 75-80% for the last 25 games or something like that. So even a little bit farther back, I guess, than that statistic. Basically, for months. He's been doing great for months. And the Templar Archives is almost up. He's only got the one gateway, so he's only going to have one Dark Templar coming out at a time here. And it looks like he's probably going to use it to cover for an expansion. This is a relatively common thing to do, to go for that quick DT, and then you can throw your opponent off guard while you get an expansion up, and you can also prevent your opponent from getting the expansion. So that way, even if they're prepared for the DTs, they're just so distracted by it that they end up economically behind in the middle game. And it looks like fOrGG is setting up for an FD build, so he's not probably going to have any kind of scan anytime soon or turrets in the near future, so he's not going to be able to deal with this one Dark Templar. At the very least, Stork's going to be able to hold back fOrGG's FD push here with that one or two Dark Templar coming out. So be interesting to see how this turns out. But fOrGG gets a scout. Oh, he sees the Nexus. He may have seen the movement of the Dark Templar if he was paying attention there.
Yeah.
He may have seen the little shadow there, but he's moving out anyways. I can't see on my screen. Can you guys see? They were pointing. Does he have mines upgraded or not?
There's Volt. He does have mines. I don't know if he's noticed. I mean, a good player like fOrGG probably has noticed, and yeah, fOrGG definitely has known that DT is out there because he probably the DT bumped into the vultures, and just a slight variation of movement he probably caught onto. And actually, Stork is going to need these DTs to work on defending his own base against the FD push here from fOrGG. fOrGG, meanwhile, one mine lands, but oh, there's actually no mines. But Stork doesn't know that, of course. There's actually no mines leading into the main base. Meanwhile, Stork is doing a decent job of defending it. Although it looks like one vulture will survive, gets a hit off on the DT, but it looks like no, nothing survives. But unfortunately for Stork, man, he doesn't know that there's no second mine. He could have gone up to the ramp and pretty much finished fOrGG off, but looks like it is going to be a longer game, certainly. He's doing some good work on the command center, but I'd say in general, fOrGG has fought this off pretty well. Wouldn't you agree, Rise?
Yeah, I think so, but I mean, well, he just made him cancel his fast expansion.
Yeah,
but,
that's not bad, though.
So well, yeah. Not yet. I mean, that puts Stork in a pretty good position, though, and and he takes out another SCV and a mine. So that DT, man, is really lasting throughout the ages. He's taken out 2 SCVs, and he's managed to take out an entire command center. He's got another DT that he's trying to sneak in there, but at this point, I think fOrGG's got a pretty good defense over there. But oh no!
Nice.
Actually, Stork's able to take out another SCV building there and get out of the way before those vultures are able to attack it. Now he's going carriers. Stork is going carriers.
Song Byung-gu, two base carriers. He loves them against fOrGG. In fact, World Cyber Games qualifier, sorry to jump in here, but he won against fOrGG 2-0 with 2 base carriers on Troy and Blue Storm. Just absolutely incredible. And Song Byung-gu is going to be delivering the Stork is going to be delivering some carrier babies pretty soon for Song Byung-gu, for fOrGG. I love his name too, Song Byung-gu. Sorry, Moltrap, go ahead though, but two base carriers. I love Stork.
I like that. He getting some cannons up as well, just to protect against any vulture harass, which is probably to be expected at this point. Oh, scan going off. That Dark Templar gets slaughtered by several vultures rather. And in the meantime, though, Stork, he's got an expansion up. He's got his carrier is going down, but he could be in a little bit of trouble if fOrGG persists. He's counting on fOrGG being defensive. But look at this. Stork has 2 Dragoons. 2 Dragoons to his name. That's his army. He's got 1 gateway. So if fOrGG pushes in here, he could be in a little bit of trouble. Although his plot did work. His ploy did work with the Dark Templar. And he distracted fOrGG long enough that Stork now has a major economic advantage. So if he manages to survive here for a little bit, then Stork is going to be in enormously good shape, and he's just going to be able to go out and own with his carriers pretty easily. But if fOrGG has a chance here, if he pushes in right now, he might be able to do something. Yeah, the Dark Templar going down in the field. Looks like fOrGG trying to set up a little bit of a containment almost. Or maybe he's just building turrets to detect Dark Templar in the field, but he's setting up a tank. He's probably researching siege mode. Oh my gosh! He's aiming for the expansion, but he's also within range of Stork's tech. Although he doesn't need the Templar Archives as much anymore. And Stork bringing out the first carrier already. Huge reveal. He may have seen a comsat going off on his base already. But, man, Stork coming out with just 1 carrier with 2 interceptors to intercept this SCV. This is a little bit of a silly game, it's turning out to be.
I like it. Stork forced to reveal his hand, though. Armory now going out for fOrGG frantically. Stork, he's going to lose that Templar Archives and that Citadel, but good thing for him, he doesn't need those because he's going carriers. I think this is a good ploy, though, by Stork because... Oh, it looks like he's actually building a rowboat, too. Maybe just for the observers. But But yeah, this is a good ploy because you know, fOrGG may have expected a longer game, maybe some kind of arbiter tech. You know, eventually, you know, usually after Templar Archives, you don't see fast carriers. You usually see that after fast reavers. But Stork obviously breaking with tradition here. And meanwhile, though, fOrGG has managed to stop mining entirely at that natural, so Stork's not going to have the resources to build that many carriers. And I don't think Stork's interceptor Stork's interceptor upgrade has finished. There's just not a lot of interceptors on that carrier. So you know, if fOrGG is going to have two bases pumping Goliaths very soon, I don't know if Stork's going to be successful here.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a little tough for him, but he is getting those carrier interceptor counts up very slowly, perhaps, but he is getting them up. And right now, fOrGG has no Goliaths out on the field, even though he has built that armory. That is Goliath null. That there is no Goliaths there at all, and he's going to be able to pick off tanks and vultures if he decides to push in, which he is, and he's going to take out at least two. Maybe even a few more tanks. So it looks like a little bit of a turret field trying to go up by fOrGG, but he's not going to get anywhere with that because the carriers come in to intercept that before anything can happen. And Stork trying to wall off, but those vultures able to get right by it, and five vultures inside his base. There is a cannon, and it just took out two vultures actually, but there's four in there. So, I mean, that's going to be really tough for Stork to defend with no units. I mean, he's got to bring his carriers all the way back, and that's not what you want to do when you go on carriers.
Wow, this is turning out to be really, really interesting. Yeah, Stork building up a decent force of carriers, and, you know, this map, we say it's kind of Terran favored because of all the ramps and choke points and sort of thing, but that also means that Goliaths are going to have a harder time squeezing between those routes in mass. So it can be good for carriers in that same fashion. So if Stork can get, you know, 5 or 6 carriers going together, you know, full of interceptors, he's going to be able to, you know, put up a decent fight. Assuming he has a ground force to go with it. Oh, Stork, watch out! There's Goliaths right there. Stork trying to engage some of the Goliaths. There's more than he expected though, so he's going to have to do a little bit of micro here. But not enough Goliaths, I think, to deal with this amount of carriers yet. Not quite critical mass of Goliath, so Stork is going to engage, and he's got plenty of places to fall back to, I think, is the critical. He's just going to have to pay attention to make sure he doesn't get his carriers sniped off, and he might be able to do some damage here.
Oh man, but Stork really, I wish Stork kept one of his DTs in the back of his base instead of suiciding them, unfortunately. Looks like the attack gets beaten off by fOrGG, and now this is what I mean, Stork is going to get continuously harassed on a little choke point. If you only had one DT back there, or just a couple of units of some sort, he might be able to deal with his tanks. Meanwhile, he's walling off and trying to pick up the left side base there, and his third gas finally, but he's been constantly harassed this entire game, and fOrGG meanwhile has a starport up. We could be seeing it just for upgrades, or maybe he's going to think about switching to cloak rates, although it's a little bit late for that. And look at this, I mean, Stork is you know, forced to pull back his carriers every time to deal with just a couple of harassing tanks. Really not the best use, as Rise says, and I think fOrGG has another tank hidden at the upper right. Brilliant by fOrGG.
That's actually the same tank. I think he just pulled it back and hit it up there.
Oh, really?
As the eBay was, it looked like he was covering the tank.
You're right. You're right. That is hilarious.
fOrGG definitely being a little sneaky bastard with the tank in the back, and he's going to continue that harassment. And I think he had a good point. Really, Stork should have a DT back there to deal with that, because one DT would deter that entire tank. And now again engaging the Goliaths, and now a bigger force, and again that tank comes out to do more harassment, and Stork has nothing to answer it except for a cannon that doesn't even range it. I mean, Stork is just, but he's got a single carrier to go take care of it. I guess that's good anyway.
Wow, so some massive Goliath versus carrier battles here going on in the middle of the map now. And this is what's going to decide the game. It's a matter of micro here. I'm surprised that Stork hasn't put out Dragoons, you know, to go alongside his carriers, because really the Dragoons are going to have a lot better time, especially underneath carriers, battling those Goliaths. Although, of course, there's countering with tanks. And it's kind of a little back and forth there. And you can see fOrGG putting out a couple tanks in anticipation of possible Dragoons to accompany those. So, although the thing is Stork, he went for that one gate tech build early on, straight to DTs, and so I think he may have put down another gateway. I'm not sure, but he didn't have many to begin with. so it's hard for him to put out a ground army. So he's having to kind of depend on his air forces here. And fOrGG, for some reason, I don't know why he keeps sending out his tanks to be killed by carriers. He did it right in the beginning there, doing it again. Maybe he was trying to get another tank up in the top right, since that worked for him reasonably well before. But wow, yeah, you can see here's how the ridges are just working beautifully for Stork. fOrGG cannot directly engage those carriers because Stork can just fall right back. And Stork doing a really good job of microing, whittling down the number of Goliaths and critically keeping the Goliath count low so he doesn't reach like some sort of critical mass where he can just melt interceptors. And oh, now attacking his base, target firing the command center. He may take out the command center. fOrGG's not repairing it. The command center is going to blow up, and he has lost a base. He's down to 2 bases.
Wow, and you know, this is the difference that Stork's micro makes. I mean, just look at this beautiful carrier micro here. Usually, you wouldn't see the Protoss player having so much success against these large groups of Goliaths. But one thing to note is that these Goliaths are only +1 upgraded, attack upgrade. This is not the flash opening where you get that critical +2 attack and +1 armor. Makes it so good against carriers. But you know, and fOrGG's control of his Goliaths honestly might not be as good as Flash's. Flash is known as a carrier killer, and still today he is very impressive against carriers. Looks like fOrGG now in a little bit of trouble. He's lost a second expansion, and he really hasn't managed to scrap together a large enough Goliath fort to you know, handle these this large and growing carrier force. And now I think fOrGG might end up losing a couple more of his Goliaths. He has just those 2 turrets to help him. Turrets go down, and now the Goliaths are in full retreat here. They have to micro, but you know, oh man, just look at those Goliaths run. I think this is Stork's game, and even after a rocky start, I think Stork might be able to come back with his insane 2-base carrier build.
GG!
Oh
yeah,
man,
yes, GG.
He's got insane carrier micro. I mean, there was nothing fOrGG could do about it from the beginning. Even when he only had 2 of them out, he didn't have anything. And he had a starport going out early. I thought he was going to make some cloaked raids or something, which would have actually worked, because I don't think Stork even had observers. But he didn't. He just tried going Goliaths, and this map definitely plays towards carriers, I think. And Stork showed that. It was a really good battle.
Yeah, and you could even see definitely fOrGG's Goliath micro lacking in comparison to something like Flash. I mean, it was good, but it just wasn't quite as crisp as what we've seen out of Flash, and you know, fOrGG's couldn't handle it quite as well.
Yeah, this is Stork's MSL, I think, and OSL. You know, not to give too many spoilers away, but that's Stork looking quite good here. Just, you know, against the reigning MSL champ. I wouldn't even call it an upset, though, because Stork's doing so well today, this year rather, that if he knocked fOrGG out in the first time he's played in MSL so far, round of 16, he was seeded to it, I wouldn't be surprised. And Stork is certainly on the way to doing that in this best of 3. Enjoyable game, and Stork, as always, is a pleasure to watch. GG.